again, Broncos country.
Really excited to chop up some Broncos with you all this week.
Bourbon, Broncos, and no BS.
Is the time your favorite time of the week? But not for the Raiders, Chargers, or Chiefs. So grab your brews and your fantasy league. We got that blue and orange blood that you bleed. The most loyal fans there ever could be. We are that mile high Broncos country.
Orange Weekly. Fans, brews, and Broncos news. What is up, Broncos country, and welcome to another episode of Bourbon, Broncos, and no BS. My name is Kev Dan, and I am here with Jared and David tonight, as always. Guys, thanks for joining me, and I am looking forward to talking to you all about how the Broncos are not last place in the AFC West, at least right now.
I love the spin, Kev.
Hey, I'm trying, guys. We're going to start off the show strong.
I love the spin, and I know what you're trying to do. As I
Is it
normally
working?
wear these sunglasses because our future is bright, I am now wearing the sunglasses so you don't see the dead inside of my eyes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, really don't want the fans to see this side of me.
No. Yeah.
To the point where I'm going to be very limited in what I can talk about the game, other than the fact because I didn't watch any of the after. Normally I watch the film after. Normally I'd like do a little bit of deep dive, watch the replays a couple times, see what we did wrong. I'm going to go off of what I saw just that day, and
Sounds
that's
painful.
where we're going with that. Yeah.
Sounds raw and painful, but that's being a Broncos fan right now. So
There you go.
it's raw and
Well, everybody
painful.
who's watching, everybody who's watching, hit that share button, hit the like button, post your comments, post your questions. Want to see what you all have to say. Well, what are your guys' initial reactions? I mean, obviously we're dead inside. Victor, how you doing? I don't know. Jared, are you okay? Do you have a black eye?
No black eye. Maybe.
Okay, good.
Just.
I wasn't sure if like David told
Black
Maricela to
heart,
hit you or
maybe.
something.
No. The pain
You
caused
deserved it.
by the Broncos. The pain caused by the Broncos is an emotional pain. It leaves scars
Emotional pain.
on the inside, not on the outside. So
Yeah.
in here, I'm sure Jared has two black eyes, but
I'm trying to.
I know, I
I'm trying
do.
to be. I'm trying to be festive with the hat, trying to liven up the mood a little bit, and it's hard. It's hard, man. That Tennessee game was disappointing. We all kind of saw what could have been in the Jaguars game, maybe, and was like, "Oh, go week off. We'll do them good. We'll fix our offensive issues." And we ended up walking away with no backup offensive linemen left, and down another receiver. We're down, we only got one starting receiver left, and that's Cortland Sutton. And our defense is playing great as usual.
More than great.
They're doing great things.
Hey,
they're doing
hey.
great things.
I get to spike a football. Right now because I told you the Broncos' run defense was going to shut down Derrick Henry. I
I
told
was
you.
surprised at
You
that.
did.
Uh-huh.
I
And
give
they-
you that. I'll give you
Yep.
that.
And they did it, and it was the only thing that made that game worth watching it anyway. So that's
Well, the defense seems to be. Yeah.
yeah, that's true. Well, that's the high point of the show for me, fellas.
There it is.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what. It's kind of cool that we are the number one defense in points allowed.
Yeah.
And that's about as cool as it gets because we are also the number 32nd offense in points scored. So we are looking great on both ends. Breaking records, baby.
Yeah, so good. So good.
I was thinking, if the Broncos defense could get a couple pick sixes or, fumble recovery sixes or whatever, they might be a higher scoring offense than the Broncos offense.
Yeah.
So like that's kind of how bad it is right now.
It would be really nice if you didn't just hurt me with the truth that way.
Hey, I'm just trying to throw it out there, man. Just calling it as I sees it.
Trying to get creative, huh? Okay.
Right.
Well.
But okay, so let's delve into this. Look, we had a bye week. Players got time off. They came back, and we're still not able to do anything on offense. Like, what do you guys think?
Oh, I think the look on Jared's face when you said let's dive into this, like are you fucking serious, bro?
Yeah,
we're diving into this.
The worst part is I know I came on this show to do an hour to talk about the Broncos, and I'm already like,
right.
You want to do what?
You want to talk about the Broncos?
Isn't this show over yet?
Oh my god! I'm 6
minutes in.
6 minutes. We have 10. We're a tenth of the way there, boys. Good for us. Okay, yeah, let's dive into this. It's bad, Kevin. You thought maybe the team had kind of figured out a formula for the offensive line, and they didn't. And maybe they did. And then what? Graham Glasgow went down in the first or the second quarter. But let's face it, the offense wasn't looking great before that. It wasn't, Jerry Jeudy goes down on the second play from scrimmage. Very first play from scrimmage. And it totally just derailed any chance the offense had that day to establish any kind of rhythm, it felt like. All the things that they had practiced being able to do in the week, during the bye week, all of the stuff that they came in thinking they really wanted to accomplish on offense, it all just felt like it was gone from that very first play. And whether that's, if you could just, I don't think you can solely chalk that up to the injury itself, because well-coached teams overcome that kind of thing. And I get it, you're on your fourth receiver or whatever, but a well-coached team figures out a way to make something happen. And outside of a busted coverage all day, you had nothing else. It's
Yep. Yeah, and I think the biggest part about this is that we have to understand where we are, and just because we have Russell Wilson doesn't mean we can do these extravagant deep routes and long developing stuff. We have our third string line. Literally everyone on that line except for maybe one is a third stringer, and we are trying to develop these long developing routes downfield or again, I haven't watched the film on this one. I don't know. I'm sorry, or he's looking for the long read, because it looks like he's sitting in the pocket for a second trying to get the deep stuff or trying to get the big splash play. And it's hard, man. It's hard to watch us go 3 and out. And I'll tell you what, another good part about her, Waitman is getting probably the best experience a punter can get in an NFL career this season. He's probably got more play time than Russell Wilson right now, and I don't think that's a good thing.
No. Oh, quick shout out to Tennessee Titans punter though. I think that guy just absolutely killed it all day. And it would just suck because how many times did we start looking at the
highlight of the game halfway through the second quarter was how the punters are doing? I literally was falling. I was like, you got to be kidding me. The highlights, and they were showing highlights from punters halfway through the second quarter because there was no other highlights in the game.
Yeah. Yep.
Right. Yeah.
Let's get to some of these comments, guys. Glad you're here. Ryan, first one. Make sure we should have made some more trades at the deadline to build up our draft quality. What do you guys think we're looking, we have a first round pick now again, freed up a lot of cap space with Bradley Chubb going away. We looked it up yesterday. We're now ranked 16th in the league when it comes to available cap space, or at least projected going into next season. But how do you guys feel now that hindsight's 2020? We're past the trade deadline. Obviously, we didn't know we were going to get this many more injuries and banged up after the bye week, but here we are.
I'm more disappointed that we traded away our first round, did this bad, finally got back into the first round, but it's going to be a late pick. And Seattle is about to get like a top 5 at this point.
Oh, I think that, yeah.
I think right now we're like 7. Yeah. Like it's gonna be
10.
tough. It's gonna be tough watching them pick up somebody that we're all gonna be like, yep, that guy's gonna be a stud, and then waiting another 20 picks to pick our guy. It's gonna be rough.
Yeah. All I'm leaning on is the fact that Seattle doesn't always draft well in the first round. And that's all I got. Like at this point, all I can hope for is that they just blow that pick so epically that it gives us something to laugh at. Because otherwise it's not funny. It's not funny, and it hurts.
We'll be live during the draft, and so we'll definitely be analyzing that one probably closer than other picks, just because it was the Broncos pick. So
I'll tell you guys this right now. I would be, unless George Payton just gets no value for that first round pick from San Francisco, because it is like the 24th to 28th overall pick. I would be really surprised to see us stay in that first round. Like, I think he would probably, if he gets an extra second or third round pick for that pick. And it's tough. Again, with a pick that late in the first round, it's hard to get that much compensation out of it.
I think we're getting way ahead of ourselves, and in the fact that
I just don't want to talk about the team as it is. So
I'm not picking up the hibiscus at this point because I don't care how.
I don't want to hear the word playoffs. I don't want to hear.
Well, are we eliminated?
Kevin.
Look, Kev.
Kevin?
I know that's my thing. Kev, I know we're not, and I know that's my thing.
We're not doing that bit right now.
It's my bit, and I normally would.
We're doing another bit.
But I'm also a realist here, man. Like
it's the angry, disappointed bit that we're doing, Kevin.
Yeah, it's the angry, disappointed bit. Yeah, I don't want to do it. I'm afraid to do it, and I'm realistically like I don't care if every time that we've been in the game it's only by one score, except for the Raiders game, right? Or was it the Raiders game? Or the Raiders game was the only one that was really bad. Every time it's been a one-score game, like, man, like I think was it Jacksonville or was it San Francisco that we're the only time that we actually were down and we drove down and scored before the game and we won. Like I think was it Jacksonville?
I don't remember.
It was Jacksonville. Yeah.
I think it was Jacksonville when they got the ball and I was like, 3 minutes left. There's no way we do this, and then we end up scoring and win the game. We got the ball in this one with 3 minutes left, and I still had the same reaction. Like, I have no faith that
there was
this
no
is
chance.
going to happen.
It didn't, and it didn't.
I just have no faith.
Right? There's no way. And then what happens? Sack, and then
penalty or sack.
Russell Wilson was hit 18 times in the game, more than 18 times.
I also, you know what stat I want to see, and again, guys, I didn't watch the film, so I'm going to say this like 100 times today, guys. But when I was watching that game, I was like, man, he is just not getting rid of the ball.
No, it was
like, he was rushed and sacked, but I also want to see his time from to release or time to sack. Because I want to say there was about 7 seconds there, and that is plenty of time to find somebody or an outlet or something.
Throw the ball away versus getting a sack or something.
Either throw it away or throw it at someone's feet or find a way to look around. And I've been the biggest critic of Russell Wilson on this show specifically and defended Hackett, but I definitely think there's a 50-50 split here. And I don't think that everybody wants to find a villain, and I don't think there's a single villain here. I think there's multiple, and man, it's just not working. It's just not.
Yeah.
Like you got to look at it and just say like this is not happening for us, and I don't know what it's gonna have to take to change. And looking at the rest, and it looked doom and gloom, guys. Like we're looking doom and gloom for the rest of the season. Third string linemen, second string wide receivers, except for our number one. And like our 15th running back on this point, like we're on like our 8th running back. Like, what are we gonna do, man? Like we're running with running backs who did not start the season with us, and there's a chance Melvin Gordon might not get another touch in his career. Like what are we doing?
Yeah, we'd be going to Chase Edmonds as the starter. Yeah, that's ridiculous. Unfortunately, we were at. Ryan here. Why is Russell Wilson a joke? Can he just keep his mouth shut from his unlimited dumb shit answers and quotes? I mean, is it getting to the point, guys, where with Russell and just the performance we're seeing on the field that people are, to the point where they are already seeing this as a complete trash trade? And I've been seeing the comments on other shows and across Facebook and Twitter. This is like the worst trade in NFL history, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, are we already at that point? Like, it seems like the majority of, the louder people, I don't know if the majority of people, but so many people are at that point now that it's, how do you recover from this? Even going into the offseason, like how do you build confidence back in this team without cleaning house in the front office there?
We just did. We
I know we
just got done
did.
Cleaning office.
But
do you think
we're going to need to do it again?
No.
Because
now I get the mentality. I get the mentality of like, this is awful. I know we're going to talk about this. I get it. This is awful. George Payton needs to be fired because he made a terrible choice in his quarterback. And of the other trades that he's made, I think getting a first round for Chubb, picking up Chubb in the first place, getting a first round for Chubb, getting some of his other, Jerry Jeudy obviously has been injury prone a little bit. Pat Surtain is probably the only shining light in this honestly, our defense is the shining light, right, of our team. But, Justin Simmons with his injury, Pat Surtain is the one guy on this team that we can count on. I will tell you 110% of the time, I will go in and be like, Patrick Surtain's going to have a good game. Regardless of how the rest of the Denver Broncos team does, Patrick Surtain is going to have a good game. And we have to give him credit where credit's due. He's on a team right now that is struggling offensively, and I can imagine it being frustrating for him. But he's a guy that we picked up when everybody else wanted to pick up Justin Fields. And again, everyone wants to be mad because we didn't pick up Justin Fields. He has one good game, guys, or maybe two good games, and we can't sit here and say that he's going to be the savior of the Bears. However, yes, there's a lot of things that you can look at on that aspect. What I'm most concerned about is this like clean house mentality when we just clean, like we are short-term mentality for the Denver Broncos. We want immediate satisfaction, and we're not getting it this year. And sometimes we just got to accept that.
I mean, we'll see what the ownership does. That's the thing here. To me, that's the wild card in this whole scenario. Because we don't know what these owners are like. They've been on the job for less than a season. They haven't been they weren't owners during the last off season. So we really have no information on what they will do if they feel like the team is heading in in a really wrong direction. I don't think there'll be a mass of layoffs at the end of this season, but that's the wild card to me. If they, they could decide that's it for everybody. You had your chance, and we're keeping Russell Wilson, and the rest of you can go because we're paying him, more money than the rest of you. So that's it. Well, and we'll see. We'll see. As far as the way Russell Wilson talks and jokes and is corny and whatever, I mean that's Russ. Like I get it, right? But he's what? He's our age. He's 30. He's a little old. He's 2-3 years older than us. I don't know, but he's far too old to be changing his ways now. I understand that. So, I get it. It becomes truly just unbearable when you're not winning games. But that's Russ.
Huh.
He's one.
Well,
he's 1 year older than we are.
Here's a cool fact. I was born on November 30th, 1988, and he was born one day before me. So, yeah.
Oh,
that's why I like him.
And he's only like 2 or 3 inches taller than you too. So that's
Hey, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
Oh man, the Wolverines blood though. This is ridiculous, guys. Look, what else is there to cover with this game?
Hey, we're 20 minutes in. We're not doing too bad here.
Well, yeah, I know, but it's just Derek, how you doing, man? Wrong team, but glad to see you. Glad to see you, man. But look, it's the same story week in and week out. You know, sometimes we win on a few occasions, but it's still the same storyline. You know, close game, riddled with mistakes, bad play calling, player execution, penalties left and right. We're now the most penalized team in the league, on course to be the most penalized team since 2000 or 2001. I can't remember what they said, but like
we didn't fix it in the second half. It's not like they showed that stat and all of a sudden we're like, we should probably slow down. It was like, par for the course, baby. Let's go.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
If we're breaking records, we're breaking them all day. Let's go.
It's just this team is so beat up that it's tough to really analyze. You know, if we had the majority of our starters, would we still look this bad? Like, at what point do we say injuries are kind of an excuse? You know, yes, every good team should overcome them, but at some point, you just can't.
I mean, but you gotta, like, you look at the Titans. Like, I think they, there was one chart, and but they have had at least as many offensive line injuries as we have had this year.
Yeah.
And, they've got the running back, and it's Derrick Henry. I understand it's Derrick Henry, but their running back averages 100 yards a game. He's one of 3 running backs in the NFL that does that. And that team is 6-3 right now. So I get it. Yeah, but injuries are, I think you maybe can account for a game or two because of the injuries this season, but it's not like this would look like I don't think dramatically different team.
No, I agree. I don't think this is a dramatically different team because of the injuries. I feel like what's frustrating me now towards the end, and I've been a huge fan of until this game, of Hackett, the playing calling's not changing based on what personnel you have in there, and that's like coaching 101, man. Like we have not changed our play call types and our play thought process with the injuries in there. And when we had our starters in there, the guys were getting open and it was there. So what he's seeing now is not the same as he saw when we had all of our starters in. And even with all the starters in, like, yeah, you can coach the quarterback to look the certain way or look at his reads better. But now you're talking, you got third string linemen, man. Like, you cannot be calling the same plays. You got to call some different stuff. You got to try to mix it up because we should not be running the ball on known rundowns, or we should not be passing the ball on first and long. We should be trying to switch it up a little bit, and it's just I don't think this is a dramatically different team. I think there are games that we win if we had all our starters, but I don't think this is a dramatically different team.
I'm speechless, guys. This is just kind of where we're at.
No, I got that. This is the first.
Well,
actually, it kind of is. Since I'm like the guy that tries to just keep the conversation moving and stuff. Yeah.
We've made it about halfway through before we got speechless.
Is it time to move on?
I don't know. And I mean, we could start looking at the next game.
Speaking of moving on really quickly, there was one thing that I heard I think it was the first half of the game. They were talking about Hackett and the hiring of what's his name, the retired Baltimore coach they brought in to help. And apparently in this interview, Hackett said that he was just getting so hung up on the mistakes he was making, and he was just getting so frustrated that he had maybe made a bad call or the play he called didn't work or something. And I'm just thinking, isn't that a fundamental thing you learn, especially early on? And I guess to me, I'm asking you because, the coaching experience and everything, Jared.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, this happens. This happens,
and we're human. I'm sure it happens, but
yeah, and that's why it takes a certain type of person to be a good head coach. And part of it is when he says that it's because he's invested in the game and he's emotional in the game. And when we hired him to be invested in the players, invested in the game. And what happens is you get caught up on a bad play call right? Bad offensive holding, right? Let's say bad offensive holding, and you're like, you got to be kidding me, ref. That's not a holding, right? That's the job of the head coach, which is his job. But it's also the job of an offensive coordinator. That is why it is very difficult to be a head coach and offensive coordinator as your first time. And it's very difficult to be able to balance the two, because the offensive coordinator needs to not worry about what happened, but needs to worry about down and distance and what they can do against what they think the defense is going to see. And when you're doing both of those things as a first-time guy, you're getting emotional into the running game. That's why when I read that, I was like, yeah, that tracks. Because it happens all the time. You get super emotional in the game, or a holding or a face mask call that didn't get called, right? As we're watching the game, we're yelling, like, you got to be freaking kidding me. But as we're yelling, as we're getting emotional about that, the offensive coordinators already have the play out on the field because they only have 20 seconds to get it on the line. And already has to be thinking about, okay, what's the down and distance now? And what defense do we think they're going to be in to be able to call the two plays that we're going to put in for our primary and our audible? Call the two plays to put in and make the play. And what was happening in the first two games. That's why when he said it, I was like, that makes sense. I mean, it just tracks that's what normally happens. That's not a new thing. Yeah, he's we got to remember, he's a new head coach, and he decided as a head coach that he was also going to take play call responsibilities. Very, very difficult in the NFL. Difficult anywhere, honestly. Difficult literally anywhere. From high school on up, it's difficult to do both those things, because you have to get emotional in the game, and you have to think of a lot of different things that you don't normally have to think about if you're only doing one of those two jobs. That's why the two jobs are separate.
Yeah.
David?
What do you think, David?
Yes.
You have such great insight. I love it.
Well, listen. Yes.
Yes, we do.
Yes.
Man, this is a great show, guys.
Really good
this
stuff.
Is,
we are just about halfway there, guys.
Jesse, how you doing? Glad you're here. And I think this is maybe something we can break down to explain why this is a bad idea. Moving on from Russ, and why we keep saying that we're married to him, for the length of his contract. One thing to keep in mind looking at this, as of right now, we're already looking at having about $180. Well, no, $12 million in effective cap space. So first off, I don't think we'd eat $109 million all in 1 year. I don't know how that gets spread out, to be honest with you, if this were to happen. But that means you would we don't even have that much cap space. So this is why you can't just drop them and say, we'll just suck for 1 more year and move on.
Yeah. I have not gone that far into the dark side to figure out how much caps hit we're going to take if we
I just pulled it up. And that's what I'm saying. I don't know
it's
how
$108, Jared.
$108.
$108. I was going to say $108 million, and then I looked at it and I was like, "That's
hey, I'll pay that out."
Well, so if you're just giving out $108, are you gonna? Can we talk about that in a minute? Like,
yes, yours is in the mail, David.
Oh, good.
Yours is in the mail.
Good. All right.
Yeah.
Is it? I mean, first cookies. Now it's $108. I'll tell you. Yeah.
Well, it's $108 worth of cookies.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay.
So,
well,
do
that's...
you see fit with that. But yeah, so guy, one thing to keep in mind is no other team is going to want to trade for Russ. 1, because of the way he's playing. 2, because of the contract. They're not going to want to pick that up. The dead money we would have to deal with, not just for 1 year, but multiple years in a row, would be a detriment to us being able to really bring in, talent or be effective in free agency, all that stuff. You also got to keep in mind with the draft, you have to sign those players and keep money available for those. So you can't just sign a player to a $250 million contract and after the first year be like, oh, it's not working, we're just going to cut you loose, and expect to be able to recover from that financially within a year. It's just not possible. So Jesse, I see what you're saying, but it's just not happening.
I think the only way we get away with keeping Russ and not needing him is if we trade up and pick a high-profile quarterback in this upcoming draft.
Which is just not going to happen.
Okay, David.
I mean, I'm sorry. You just traded away 2 first-round picks and 2 second-round picks for Russell Wilson. You got 1 first-round pick back next year. So you're going to then, but it's going to be like we discussed earlier. 24th, 26th? I mean, who knows where the freaking 49ers are going to end up. With our luck this year, they'll probably make it to the NFC Championship game.
And that's number 3 pick? Number 4 pick?
Yeah, number 30. Yeah, like number 29.
28, 29. Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah, something like that. So how much are you going to have to give up to move up from 29 to, 2, 3?
I'm bidding approximately $108 worth of cookies,
and that's fair. That's a reason. You know what? I would consider that trade, but I think there's also.
I'm not sure who the Facebook user is. We don't see your name, so let me know, because I think it's definitely somebody we know.
And first,
it sounds like somebody I know.
A quick shout out to Clayton for coming in with the stars despite all.
Dude. As always, man.
Dude, love you, brother, tonight. Man. Thank you, appreciate it.
Back to the cookies. There's a reason that you and I, Jared, are not NFL GMs, and it's because we would accept offers.
$100 worth of cookies
for our top 5 NFL draft pick. A good GM would not. So you're gonna have to come up with. Of course, it's not.
What's up, Rob?
So you're gonna have to come up with. Two more first round picks to move up that far at least, and so now you've got no. And then what if your first round pick doesn't work out? Do we really want to go over the success rate of top 5 quarterbacks in the last 3 years, including good quarterback drafts? Because what's going on with Zach Wilson? What's going on with Trevor Lawrence?
Hey, you can say what's going on with Zach Wilson, but the Jets are playing good football right now.
See, the Jets are playing. See, the Broncos could so easily be the Jets. If we had the 18th or 20th best offense, we'd be 6-3. But that's not the way.
Led by Zach Wilson.
Yeah, right. Yeah. If we had, that's right. But so all I'm saying is Zach Wilson is not the guy you drafted 2nd overall to be your Kyle Orton. That's all. You drafted him 2nd overall to be a star, and he's not. Anyway, we're getting off the whole thing. My point is, it's
Neil. Glad you're here, man.
You're kind of. I feel like you can't be any worse off. I mean, we're hitting rock bottom. Maybe that's the good news in all of this, guys. Maybe there's nowhere to go but up, or stay the same, which is miserable. But that's where I'm at with it right now.
See, the only thing I have is Russ has a lot of good football left in him. This strategy is just absolutely failing. And the concern I have is Hackett is pretty much, and I was praising him during, not preseason, off season, everything. I was like, here's a guy that's going to be able to make adjustments when things aren't working, try different things. And we haven't seen that. I mean, our third quarter play is like worst in the league. We don't make adjustments at halftime, at least not very well. He's already said that he's planning on running training camp the same exact way next year, and I believe it because I just don't see him making changes. We've talked about having some of those plays that are just really quick. You get the ball out of Russ's hands real quick. Don't even wait for the long play to develop, and I'm not saying that's all Hackett or whatever, but I don't know, guys. Like it's not working, but I think it can. Whether Hackett changes, we get someone, Dan Quinn, who's worked with Russ out in Seattle, we can make something happen. It's not gonna be this year, and I think we can really turn things around with Russ and be a competitive team. We have the talent. We just got to make it. We just got to make it work.
Who from the Denver Broncos front office paid you?
Nobody, I wish. Well, I got $108
in cookies.
Now, wait a minute. Was it
which cookies? I used to buy cookies for David.
Okay.
But it was a check from the Broncos.
Oh, good. Yeah, well, that's where that's coming from. Look, I mean, that's gonna be the logical answer. That's probably what's gonna happen because again, we have put in 3 years or 4 years of Russell Wilson. We did not put in 4 years of Coach Hackett, and I don't think I don't think he's the single point of blame. He's going to take it. He's going to be the villain. He's going to take the face, and he's going to give praise, which is a good leader. That's what you're supposed to do. And he'll bounce back somewhere eventually. But the problem is right now everyone's after him when you have a brand new system, brand new quarterback. And then what happens in 2 years when Russell Wilson is continuing his downslide? What happens? Do we look back on this and be like, man, I wish we had Hackett back? Like, do we look back at this and being like, oops, our bad. Watch Hackett go off. And like, I'm not saying, like, I'm just looking at it at a holistic point. Like, we have two brand new people, and the reason Hackett's getting all the blame is because we know for a fact that Russell Wilson's going to stay. He has to, because we paid him the money, and we have no attachment to Hackett, so he's going to get, and so that everybody, I've said this every episode.
I think the word
so
you're
that
looking
everybody
for,
can say they're right.
Scapegoat is the word you're looking for.
Scapegoat, that's the word. Everyone wants to say, told you so. I told you Hackett was a crap and we need to get rid of him. And we did. Look, I told you so. I tweeted it back in November that we needed to get rid of him. And look at the Broncos finally listened to me. You're not smart, dude. Like, that's just literally how it's going to work out because of how the whole situation is. Mm-hmm. Now I'm getting cynical. I'm sorry.
Now you're getting cynical?
Well, there's a lot to be cynical about. Look, the thing is, this could go so many number of ways, you know. And like David was saying earlier, the wild card is the ownership group. We have no idea how they're going to respond to this year. Are they going to say, we've seen enough after 1 year to know that whatever you guys have tried in the past is far beyond working? You know, we're going to bring in our people. We're going to clean house. We're going to oversee who's being hired and everything and have final say, or at least input, you know, into who's getting hired and stuff when it comes to head coaches and stuff. George Payton will stay around. People are saying get rid of George Payton. No, they're not going to get rid of Payton. He's done great when it comes to the draft so far and finding talent, developing talent. He just 0 for 1 on head coaches, at least so far. So the question is, are they going to give Hackett another year, say, hey, here's a healthy team. If you don't have a new quarterback, you don't have a new playbook, you know, we get the players back and see what you do. And here's your chance.
I mean, honestly, there's also a chance that conversation go, look, dude, you have an option. You are either a head coach and you give up play calling duties, or you are an offensive coordinator and you give up head coaching duties. Yeah. And I think that's probably a real conversation that needs to happen this offseason. If he doesn't get fired, that's probably a real conversation that's going to need to happen. Right. Like, hey, man, you were a pretty good offensive coordinator in Green Bay. Let's use that, or be the head coach and hire someone to call the plays and use a different playbook. Those are your options.
Right.
I wouldn't be surprised if we came back next year and saw that.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think they would do that just in favor of, if nothing else, keeping Ejiro Evero, who, because it's real hard to fire your head coach and then tell the new head coach coming in, okay, but you can't choose your defensive coordinator. You got to pick this. You got to keep this guy. And you know, it's of course it's possible that whoever you hire will go, well, I couldn't get a better guy than Ejiro Evero for them anyway. That guy coaches up a really good defense. If he was available from another team, I would hire him. There's that possibility. But there's also it's at least matched by the possibility, and this is a totally reasonable thing for the new head coach to say, I want to bring my guy in. It's nothing personal against Ejiro Evero. He's a good coach, but I have a vision for this team and how it's going to operate, and that means I want to bring my guy in. Yeah. So if for no other way to avoid that, you know, I think, and I would lean towards the second of those two options, Jared, of, you know, picking an offensive coordinator who's going to script the offense, call the plays, and leave the head coach to be the head coach. That'd be my choice. But, you know, I think they would do as much as they could to keep this staff together, just to keep from losing that defensive talent.
Yeah. Evero's going to be, he's going to be sought after, I think, in the offseason. Look, first-year coordinator, so teams may be a little timid to hire him, even though he had great success in the first year. It may be hey, let's see if you can continue this kind of a thing. But he's going to get interviews, at least offers to interview.
We picked up VJ after being a one-time coordinator.
Yeah, but if I'm another team, I'm looking at it and being like, yeah, see how that worked out for him? Like,
Yeah,
maybe we don't.
Well, he was also like the 20th defense of like when he was Miami, he was like the 20th ranked defense, and we still picked him up as head coach.
Yeah,
that was interesting.
So, it's one of those things. Like, and then there's because there's nothing else to talk about right now because the Broncos are losing all the time. Is if we do get Dan Quinn, apparently him and Evero have a connection, and it could be enough reason to keep Evero around. Evero is considered one of Dan Quinn's guys, and that could be hey, actually, I do want to keep this guy. So there are just so many different things there, guy, and we are getting way ahead of ourselves, obviously, but it's better than talking about this last week's game. But I do want to move forward. Any other comments on this before we kind of start looking ahead to beat the Raiders week? Yeah, Neil.
Everyone needs to follow Neil's path here and subscribe to this channel. Definitely appreciate it, Neil. Yeah, awesome, and so for the record, so that everyone's tracking, because you mentioned it earlier, Facebook and our streaming services have been not communicating very well. So we apologize to anybody that's watching on Facebook or can't get access or can't comment, whatever the case is. Apologize. If you are watching this and you guys can't comment or whatever, head over to our YouTube page. It's obviously working much better. Hit up our YouTube page. We're on Twitter and Twitch and Facebook and MySpace, and I think OnlyFans we're streaming on right now. So if you guys just hit up all those ones, then we'll be good to go.
I was going to look into us streaming on LinkedIn. Very professional and people, but OnlyFans was just, I think, a better route to go.
It's just quick.
It's much more
quick and easy.
Much more our speed.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I've only taken my shirt off once.
Fits in with the culture here really well.
It does.
All right. So boys, Color Rush week. You got the old school D helmets coming out. That'll be fun.
That's what she said.
Yes. More reasonably, you've got the only team in the AFC West worse than the Broncos right now coming in. You lost to them in their home, and it was the only time you were beat by more than a score this season. So, like, if you're gonna win another game this season, and I'm not getting to it, like, I'm not even saying that looking at the schedule right now, just the way the Broncos are playing. If you're gonna win a game this season, you got to go win this game, right?
Yeah. No, how many games looking at the schedule? And again, I'm not looking at either. I just know kind of the teams we're going to face. How many games are like hey, this is a very winnable game? The Panthers, the Raiders,
the Broncos.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly,
if you
we are that.
Yeah, we are that
I don't
team.
think we are the team that everyone's like, there's a win. Like, I don't think there's not a single. Let's see, Panthers maybe.
That's what I'm saying. Panthers,
and then,
maybe.
That's it. That's 100% it. Because then you're talking about Ravens, Chiefs, Cardinals, Rams, Chiefs, Chargers.
Wait, that's the Broncos' remaining schedule?
Yep.
Yeah.
Still got the Chargers again. Got the Chiefs twice. We have the Chiefs twice. The Rams on Christmas Day.
Jared, it was worth it for that laugh alone. Bless you. Sorry, Kevin.
You're good. Hey, you get David laughing, and that's what something.
I did. We promised we'd get him smiling on this show, and we got there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
there it is. So listen, if we go Owen, like I am at this point, there's going to be one or two games in there that we win by surprise. And it's going to be too late because at this point it's already too late.
There's going to be one or two Eagles. It's going to be amazing.
One of these games is going to be a win by surprise. And I wouldn't be surprised if it's that last Chiefs game, like 2 games before the end of the season, and we just like show up and score 30 points all of a sudden.
Right.
And Russell Wilson looks like the next coming of Jesus, and we go into off season like, this is it. We're done.
Yep.
Everyone's good.
Yep.
Everyone stays around.
Now we've got
everything.
it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I call it the Drew Lock syndrome.
Oh God! Remember when he just ran for like 2 long touchdowns in that Chiefs game, and even though they didn't win, everybody was like, "Hey, Drew Lock's good now," and he wasn't.
He was like 4 for 5 in the last like 6 or 5 games of the season. And then all of a sudden it was like, yeah, Drew Lock's the future. He's our guy, and he wasn't.
And he's no, and he's not the Seahawks guy either.
He's not the Seahawks guy. Either.
Kyle Sloter.
Geno Smith was voted the comeback player of midseason.
I will say this: Geno Smith's looking pretty good.
I can't even take anything away from Geno Smith. Geno Smith is playing out of his mind.
They're number 1 in the NFC West, aren't they?
I don't know if they're tied or what, but they're up there, and it's I ain't
even mad. Geno Smith is playing some good football. I'm watching some of these games, and I'm jealous. Don't get me wrong, I'm jealous. But he's finding his open receivers. He's finding guys. He's putting the ball in places like for 50-50 balls. He's reading properly. He's like they got a good offense going. I got to give props to Geno Smith because he's killing it. And when everybody thought he was out of the league, he is doing a very good job.
Yeah, Broncos fans, do not misdirect any negative feelings onto Geno Smith, who has done nothing to you except they won that first game. But that wasn't on Geno Smith. The defense played really well in that game too. So
yeah, no, anyway. That was 100% on the Broncos off. If you were going to find any place to place your anger, it's got to be on the Broncos offense somewhere. And I would just say as a whole, let's place it on the Broncos offense. Because our defense is playing spectacular. And our offense just cannot, somewhere in the, I don't know, there's 11 players in the field at any time. Like, you got to find a place and a coach that coaches, right? You can blame it there. Everyone's going to. But you got to find a place to blame it. And it's not on the Broncos defense. It's not on the Broncos special teams for the first time in 5 years. And it's definitely not on the other team. We got to find a place. David, can we just...
No, we can't.
Okay.
No, we can't, Jared. No, we can't. How's that? Feel good? Does it feel nice?
It doesn't feel nice. I feel violated.
Well, while we're feeling violated,
you know what does feel nice?
Oh, what is that?
There's a lot of things feel nice, especially when the Broncos are losing, but you're winning on DraftKings. You know what? It still feels a little nice because at least you're making some money. Okay, so look, guys. DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, has some awesome, unbeatable offers. Right now, new customers can make any $5 NFL bet and get $200 in free bets if your team wins. Check this out, guys. In addition to the usual bets, everyone can boost their winnings with DraftKings stepped-up same-game parlays. Tons of matches this week. Obviously, the Broncos-Raiders is going to be a big game for both teams. Coaches on hot seats, both teams trying to rebound from some pretty embarrassing losses and a pretty embarrassing season so far. So there's going to be some good matchups there. You can really delve into that or any other game that you're looking at to make some picks there. To make things even sweeter, you can throw down on stepped-up same-game parlays once per game day all season long. And here's how you get in on this, guys. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code TPPN to get $200 in free bets if your team wins. Just place a $5 bet on any football game only at DraftKings Sportsbook using promo code TPPN. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details.
I'd definitely tell you what, guys. If I was in Colorado with y'all, I would definitely be downloading my DraftKings Sportsbook app. Unfortunately,
if you're watching this and you're not, you should be.
Yeah. Here in California, I don't have the option, so do it for me. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and make those bets because I think there's a lot of great things going on DraftKings, and they're doing a very good job. Also, if you have a gambling problem, hit up our show notes and check that out. But ultimately, hit up that DraftKings Sportsbook, make some of those bets. At this point, I'll tell you what, and this would kind of move the conversation a little bit too. The Denver Broncos offense is so bad that we are given like the most minimum of our player props. Like we're talking like our wide receivers are like, if Cortland Sutton gets over 12 yards of receiving yards, you win a bet, right? Like our running backs are getting, if he gets over 12 rushing yards, you win a bet. Like that's how bad we're at right now. Go on there and check it out.
Definitely. Before we move over to the Raiders game, a little bit more detail and setting up the pregame podcast. So, there has been a lot of talk about players, basically demanding, putting out there that AstroTurf needs to go. They're looking for a real field and everything like that. You know, it's interesting. You know, Patrick is suing everybody and their mom for his ACL tear.
Yeah, but that's not because of the field.
No. But I think it's, you know, you can look at those AstroTurf fields and
you've got I can't believe we're even talking about this anymore. Like you've got
my point is
you got to get turf out of there. Like
yeah.
you can't. I'm sorry. These owners are supposed to be some of the wealthiest people on the planet. You can't cry poor about this kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I know these players make a lot of money, but you know, on average, but the ones who don't make a lot of money on average and, you know, blow an ACL, like that can be the difference between, you know,
a
whole career's worth of income for them, basically, or not. And it's just it's too much. It sucks the enjoyment out of it for the fans because they lose their favorite players to these injuries. It sucks for the players because they can't go out there and earn a livelihood. Is there any upside besides the owners save money? Explain to me another upside.
I think there is, and I think none of us here are intelligent enough on the situation or the statistics on grass fields versus AstroTurf fields to really make that decision. There are statistics out there, and I'm not saying I'm for AstroTurf, right? Like I'm saying like whatever, but there's also some problems with the grass fields. There's always going to be issues. There's always going to be injuries on both sides of those things. I don't know. Look at the Raiders' old stadium.
Yeah.
Like how difficult was it for them to keep that shit up? Because granted they shared it with the A's.
I was gonna say that stadium was a nightmare because it was a baseball field for half of the year.
Yeah,
and
I just want to put out there like I think that there's. And honestly, I would probably on this situation, I think I'd refer to Jason on this one because I think he's probably the one that has the most like intel and has the most like scientific background on being able to define that. So
yeah,
I just don't know. I don't want to sit here and say like, yeah, AstroTurf is bad when I don't know what the statistics look like other than what the players are saying that I don't like playing on AstroTurf because injuries seem to happen more often.
Well, this is a quick stat I found. 28% players have a 28% higher rate of non-contact lower extremity injuries while playing on artificial turf. Let's see. Of those non-contact injuries, players have a 32% higher rate of non-contact knee injuries and a 69% higher rate of non-contact foot and ankle injuries on turf as compared to grass.
They have a chance or it's already happened.
It's already happened.
What?
Yeah,
over the course of what period?
That's a good question. From 2012 to 2018.
Okay.
Yes.
And at that point, how many statistically like grass fields were there comparatively?
I mean, why does that matter?
It does. If you're talking like if 30 teams have turf and 2 teams have grass, and all the injuries are happening on turf.
That's fair,
you're definitely more likely to have it on a turf field.
But I feel like it's also a more even distribution than, like, let's see, how many turf fields are there in the NFL?
I think it's probably easier to look at how many grass fields. I mean, we're getting into the weeds now.
So 16 stadiums have grass, 14 have turf now. I don't know what the numbers were in 2012 to 2018, but I can't imagine it was that different. No. So it's about a half and half
fields. But...
Yeah, it's about a half and half split.
So 14 of the 30, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Makes sense.
And I know the Raiders, I don't give the Raiders a lot of credit for anything because it's a garbage franchise, but their new, dome stadium in Las Vegas is a grass field. Mm-hmm. It is not turf. So, I think there's maybe a misnomer also in some, amongst some fans that if you build a dome stadium, you have to go with turf. It's not as
Arizona. Arizona, they wheel the whole field out so it can get sunlight and grow, and then they wheel it back in for the game.
It's not as if they just build the entire stadium around a natural patch of grass that's 100 yards long, guys. That's not how that works. So, but yeah,
what do you mean?
I know I'm shattering an illusion
mind
here for
blown.
You.
Okay, jeez.
Yeah, I can't really see any argument for keeping turf at this point. Now, maybe Jared can find some legitimate arguments there, but I'm not. I'm
also a big person on like that. Like you pulled all these stats. I'm not sure what the reference is. I want to see like.
To be fair, it's the NFLPA's website by NFLPA President J.C. Treader, but I think there are more statistics that will back this up.
And I'm sure he's probably doing his good job on the due diligence of the research and stuff. I'd like to see like a legit and I'm saying this like I'm sure the research out there, and I'm not going to quick Google it. I'm not going to try to tell you I'm an expert by looking it up. I think there's a level of the guys that are making the money. At some point, the NFL and the commissioner need to make a decision on what they're going to do if it is coming out over the course of a couple of years. And again, that was back in 2018. Over the course of these few years that we get that point, I don't know. I'd like to see the NFL commissioner make the decision.
Here's an athletic study, but Jared doesn't believe in the athletics, so.
I mean, it's a great tabloid.
It's a great tabloid.
Your face is a great tabloid. Got him.
It is.
Okay.
Aww,
Got him.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Wow.
Thank you.
Hey, we are going to start getting to the end here, and I do want to spend just a little bit of time talking about the Raiders game and set up the pregame podcast for you guys and give some all the viewers out there a chance to. Or a reason to go listen other than it's awesome. But first, remember all of the content we have for you here at Orange Weekly, to include Monday nights, Tuesday nights, pregame and halftime shows during the games, as well as the pregame and postgame podcast. Also, make sure you check out all of our other content. Like we said before, there is something going on between Facebook and our streaming service. Please go check out YouTube. If anything, you can check out our website to find more information there and some links. But make sure that you guys are giving us a follow. And Clayton, I see you heading out. Definitely thanks for stopping by and for the stars. Donations are great, guys, but really your support of just watching us commenting is absolutely huge, and we love it. So if you want to support us another way, going and not only subscribing but giving us a 5-star review on any of these platforms is just another huge way to help. But we definitely appreciate everyone tuning in, and we're going to keep doing the shows as long as you guys keep watching and commenting. So Clayton, thanks a lot. For everyone else who's watching, thanks a lot. But let's get to just a few minutes of Raiders conversation. What are your impressions of this game? First thoughts and maybe some things to watch out for, keys of the game, matchups, anything you like that.
I'll say this. I looked it up a little bit. The Denver Broncos are favored to win this game by 2.5 points.
Well, considering the Raiders just lost to a high school coach, it's like maybe the Broncos have a chance here.
I think part of it is because we're at home.
We are at home.
Right. It's what, isn't that 2.5? Isn't that the new line now? It used to be 3 points, but now isn't 2.5 the home field advantage?
Yeah. Usually it's 1.5. 1.5 is the home field advantage, which means they think it's a little bit more than the home field advantage piece of it. 1.5 points, but crazy to think that we're favored.
I don't like that.
I don't like that.
Right. Just early impression is don't care for that one bit. But hey, they're going to wear the color rush uniforms. That's cool.
If Russell Wilson's going to have a breakout game, this literally has to be it. This is probably going to be the softest defensive back setup you're going to see the rest of the season. And if he doesn't, or Hackett doesn't call the right plays. Whichever side you believe on, I know what side I'm on. Whatever side you believe on, if there's not a better offensive performance here, I think we're gonna have some problems. And honestly, you know who's gonna be our biggest problem? Mason Crosby. He's gonna be an issue.
You mean Max Crosby?
Max Crosby.
Yep. Okay.
Max Crosby.
I was like the Packers kicker.
Max Crosby.
Max Crosby. Yes. So Billy Turner goes on IR. So he played about 14 snaps this season. You now got maybe Cam Fleming coming back, maybe. And then
Graham Glasgow maybe coming back.
Right. Other than that, you're looking at the matchup of Max Crosby on Quinn Bailey. So
we're screwed.
So if that's the case, Max Crosby has 7 sacks this season already. He might double that in this game if you see him matched up against Quinn Bailey.
I'm worried. I am honestly at this point worried about Wilson staying healthy. He cannot keep getting hit 18 times per game and not come away unscratched.
He's already banged up.
Well, he's already banged up, but I mean, a longer term injury or something that is really going to affect him even after this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Maybe he should get rid of the ball.
That's what I'm saying is if he's sitting there in the pocket this week, he is going to get lit up because there's not going to be a pocket. It's going to be there. It's going to be gone. And Max Crosby is going to absolutely destroy. I think any of those players are going to be able to get through our offensive line. I mean, look what happened after Glasgow went out. I mean, that was the straw that broke the camel's back. At that point, there was nothing holding people, from getting through that line. So, yeah, they are going to have to adjust how they've been playing these games. It has to be those quick passes. It has to be really relying on the run game, and the run game has to get going somehow. I don't know. Those are my thoughts, guys, because otherwise, it's going to be bad, and I am terrified of what could happen to Russ.
Yes.
Are you though?
I am, because we don't have a backup.
I want to keep everybody healthy. But at some point, at some point, it's like if he's injured, he's injured. Like he needs to step down. Like I'm also sick and tired of this thought process of like, Russ is injured. Maybe that's why he's not playing well. He's injured. Like, okay, well then don't play. Let Rippon step in there and play the ball.
I'd rather Russ get fully healthy. Yeah,
third string offensive line versus first string defensive line of a Denver Raiders pass rush, including multiple first round. Andrew Billings not a first round, but Chandler Jones is a first round. And
here's what else:
2 first round edge rushers.
That's this is the thing. Max Crosby has 7 sacks. The rest, I think I read the Max Crosby has 7 sacks, and the rest of the Raiders defense has 3 combined.
Okay.
So it's not exactly strength on strength there, but leave it to the Broncos offensive line as it's currently constructed to make that stat look a lot better in the Raiders' favor this week.
Oh yeah. For sure. Dan, we did talk about this earlier in the show. If you want to go listen to our thoughts there, I think the rumors at this point, if we were going to see a head coaching change, we would have seen it already at the bye week. I think at this point, there's a 99% chance that we just stick with Hackett through the rest of the year at a very minimum. And you're going to have to wait till Black Monday to find out if, we're going to move on from him or we're going to keep him. And at that point, conversation's over again. Either we've moved on or we've kept him. But I think at this point, we're riding with Hackett and we're looking to see what can he do in the second half of the season to at least make some improvements.
Absolutely.
So.
Well, going back to David's comment, it's interesting on the ownership group. If we lose, say this Raiders game, and then we lose to the Panthers, you might see Hackett being gone and just seeing if we can find somebody else. Like now you're talking about being, let me see if I can count, 3 wins and 10 losses, 10-3. Does that sound right?
Yeah, but when you have 3 wins and 10 losses, you call it 3-10.
9-3, 9-3, or 3-9, 3-9. If we go 3-9, going into the Chiefs, Cardinals, Rams, you might see a coaching change.
Yeah.
Anything
If we
could
stay at 3
happen.
wins, if we stay at 3 wins, yeah.
All right, fellas. Somehow we've made this show 65 minutes long.
Yes, we have. It's because I
let's-
love you guys. You're awesome, and
well-
I love talking to you. And if anything, it makes me feel better.
I love you $108 worth of cookies worth, and you can tell
really?
me what you think
Wow.
that means.
Well, it means a lot because I didn't send any more cookies to anyone else. You.
Well, take that,
Did
everybody.
you eat all your cookies, David?
You mean the $108 worth?
No,
Yeah,
the ones I
$108
sent you
worth of
already.
Cookies.
Well, so yes to both.
Okay.
Oh, good.
Actually, no, I didn't. I have like 3 left at least.
Oh,
Yeah,
They're good
yeah.
though.
Right, they're good.
I
Yeah.
finished them. They're delicious.
I finished them. Teacher's pet. Anyway, let's get to our final thoughts for the evening. Jared, let's start with that hat. I love it.
I love it.
Yes, it's the under brim decoration there. It's everything. It's so much better than a visor. I can't even describe it.
I do appreciate the compliment and the backhanded downplay of the visor. Not a fan of that. However, I will say thank you so much. This is a beautiful hat that my wife bought me. I would not have bought this on my own, which is why we all know that she runs this household.
Impeccable.
And secondly, final thoughts for the night. Denver Broncos are in a rough spot, and somehow Kevin thinks he's a gangster. Don't know how this turned out. And Denver Broncos are in a rough spot. If we don't win this game, I mean, this is probably the only game we're going to be favored for the rest of the year.
Yep.
And I'm super nervous about it. And I'm not going to lie. I have no confidence going into this game being favored. I have no confidence in the Denver Broncos and what the offense can do. And it's frustrating. It's super frustrating as a Denver Broncos fan. And we're going to have to ultimately start looking at the future. Probably in the next couple of games, we're going to start looking in the offseason, trying to see what we could do in the offseason to fix this. But that's where we're at. And look, regardless, I will say this, absolutely regardless, we will be here. Orange Weekly will be here.
Yes.
We'll be here doing Tuesday night shows. We'll be here doing podcasts. We'll be here doing halftime hashes, pregame shows. You name it, we're going to be here the whole time. And we're going to be rooting on the Denver Broncos, regardless of how bad we are. 3 wins. That's all I'm going to say.
I like it. David, what you got, man?
Yes.
Yes. That's it?
All the shade on the visor, but nothing to say about the Broncos.
I mean, have we not been throwing shade at the Broncos for the last hour?
That's true.
Did we?
That's true. But
did
what's
we
the
not?
final thoughts? Where you gotta bring it together like scrubs.
Like a paper.
You gotta
You
bring
have
it
the
together at
intro,
the end of the episode.
Body conclusion. You gotta back it up for the people.
Yeah, ba 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 ba.
Okay. All right. I think
Who
what the Broncos
who's the eagle
need-
between the two of you?
I mean,
Who picks up the other and who screams eagle? I think Jared screams eagle. Eagle. Yeah.
the fact that you have to ask tells me
I
that
just
you
wanted to
know.
make sure I had the image right.
Mhm.
Although
All
David
right.
getting picked up and screaming eagle is also.
I'm
equally
actually
fine.
disappointed, David. I'm actually disappointed in us that we have not been doing that in Kevin's presence before.
Yeah.
I'm kind of mad that we have not done an eagle in Kevin's presence.
No,
Yeah.
I mean, how often have we been in Kevin's presence in the last year?
Not enough.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Not
whose
enough.
fault is that? It's Jared's fault. The teacher's pet. Anyway, I think
I'm
the
the one that
Broncos-
lives in California, so
Yeah, and exactly. So I think what you've got to understand is that the season will be a lot easier to get through, guys, if you go dead inside.
Okay.
Just don't let it hurt you. And you're going to be better off. You're going to watch the games anyway. I understand.
Yeah.
So when bad things happen, when the Broncos get a holding penalty on 1st and 10 to make it 1st and 20, and then they get a sack on 2nd and 20 to make it 3rd and 24, just don't keep it in here. Keep it out here. Keep it in the peripheral, because that way you'll be able to go to work the next day and not just weep.
Very true. Very true.
Okay. Over to you, Kev.
Good stuff, man. Well, Neil is right. I did meet the Mad Fanatic. He's awesome, but I'm definitely not a gangster in any way, shape, or form. Just not even close. Though I am in the Bronco game, so pretty cool. Look, I'm gonna go into the game just like I am every other game the rest of the year, and
drunk.
Any given also any given Sunday,
short.
Good things can happen, and I'm not giving up either. This is a Raiders game, and I'm not going to go dead inside until after this week. One way or the other. Yeah, because this is the Raiders. We've got to find a way to beat the freaking Raiders. Like, this is just,
That's
so I'm going to go out there. Now, am I at the point where I'm going to be surprised if something bad happens? No, I won't be. But I'm going to be out there. I'm going to be like, you know what? I think we can do this, guys. I really do. So I'm interested to hear your pregame podcast and more of the details you guys have to break down. But
spoiler alert, I might predict my first tie of the season.
Ooh.
I like it.
Interesting. But okay, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in, everybody, and hanging out with us. Jared, David, you guys are fantastic as always. So thank you very much, gentlemen. With that, let's sign out as we always do on a very strong Go Broncos.
Go Broncos.
Take care, everyone. We'll see you next time.
Do what I like, yeah, I do what I like, yeah, I do what I like. Sipping goose, if it's right, and I go with the flow, yeah, I go with the flow, yeah, I go with the flow, cause I know I'm the show. In the zone, here I go, in the zone, here I go.